5 things men should never do with women. Stoic life lessons. Stoicism. A man is not good because he does good things, but because he is free from the bad. Epictetus. What separates men who naturally command respect from those who struggle? It's this: they know what not to do. While most advice focuses on how to impress or keep her interested, the real key is avoiding the mistakes that destroy attraction. Too many men believe that trying harder, being overly nice, or pleasing her will win her over, but these actions can backfire, killing the very attraction they seek. And the worst part? They don't even realize it. In today's video, we'll explore 5 things you should never do with a woman if you want her respect and genuine attraction. These Stoic-inspired lessons will help you avoid the common pitfalls. Let's get into it. Thing 1. Never seek validation from her. In the world of relationships, one of the most subtle yet powerful forces that can undermine a man's attraction to a woman is the need for validation. This constant seeking of reassurance, approval, and affirmation can be a silent killer of attraction, and most men don't even realize they're doing it. Seeking validation manifests in many ways: asking, "Do you still like me?" after every argument, over-explaining actions or words with phrases like, "I just want to make sure you didn't misunderstand me," or fishing for compliments like, "Am I funny?" or "Do you think I'm attractive?" At the root of this behavior is insecurity, a fragile sense of self-worth that relies heavily on the opinions and approval of others, particularly the woman in question. This can become a crippling dynamic because when a man places his sense of value in the hands of another, he surrenders his autonomy and sense of self to someone else. Women by nature are drawn to men who are self-assured, who know their worth, and who don't need external validation to feel secure in themselves. This isn't a matter of vanity or arrogance. It's the foundation of what Stoicism teaches us about self-sufficiency and inner strength. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When a man seeks validation from a woman, he's essentially reacting to her in a way that compromises his own integrity. Instead of standing firm in who he is, he becomes dependent on her response to define his self-worth. The moment this dynamic sets in, the attraction begins to fade. Women want a man who is complete in himself, not one who is searching for approval at every turn. To avoid this pitfall, the solution lies in detaching from the need for external validation altogether. In practical terms, this means not looking for a reaction after making a joke or decision. When you say something funny, don't look to her face for approval. When you make a choice, don't second-guess it based on her opinion. Instead, take ownership of your actions and your identity. Stand firm in the confidence that your value is intrinsic, regardless of whether or not she affirms it. It's also crucial to remember that relationships are built on mutual respect, not on one partner constantly feeding the other's ego. Practice what I like to call reverse validation. Instead of waiting for her to tell you that you're enough, take the time to notice her, understand her, and challenge her intellectually or emotionally. Compliment her, but do so in a way that acknowledges her complexity and depth as a person, not just her external beauty. This shift from needing validation to giving it not only strengthens your sense of self, but also fosters a deeper, more meaningful connection with her. Confidence, after all, isn't about displaying arrogance. It's about embodying a quiet self-assurance that allows you to be secure in who you are, regardless of her approval. This is the essence of Stoic life lessons: to remain steadfast in your principles and beliefs, regardless of external circumstances. A man who doesn't seek validation is a man who commands respect, and a man who commands respect naturally draws attraction. In life, this concept has never been more crucial. So many men today find themselves in cycles of seeking validation, whether from social media, their peers, or, most importantly, their romantic partners. This is a dangerous trap, especially as it erodes one's self-worth. If we think about the abundance of likes or comments people chase for validation, it's easy to see how this behavior can become ingrained. True confidence doesn't come from others telling you that you're good enough. It comes from within. It's about cultivating a sense of self that's grounded in your own values and principles, not the fleeting opinions of others. If you truly want to command respect in any relationship, be it romantic or otherwise, start by owning who you are, without waiting for anyone's approval. And remember, as the Stoics remind us, external events or reactions are beyond our control, but our responses to them are entirely within our power. When you stop seeking validation, you unlock the power of self-respect, and in doing so, you also inspire the respect of others. By following these Stoic principles, you will gradually stop seeking external validation and instead cultivate a solid foundation of confidence, built on the belief that your worth is inherent. When you stop placing your self-esteem in the hands of others, you'll notice that not only does your self-respect grow, but the respect and attraction you receive from others will grow as well. This is how a man becomes not only attractive, but magnetic, because he no longer needs the approval of others to feel complete. The Stoic life lesson here is simple yet profound. Your worth is not dependent on anyone else's opinion. When you stand strong in this truth, you become a man who commands both respect and genuine attraction. Thing 2. Never put her on a pedestal. There's a common mistake that many men make when it comes to relationships. They place the woman on a pedestal, thinking that if they treat her like royalty, she will eventually treat them like a king. But in reality, this approach has the opposite effect. The more you elevate her, the more you lower yourself in her eyes. Why does this happen? Because attraction is never built on worship, it's built on mutual respect. When you treat her like she's above you, she can't respect you as an equal. She starts to see you as someone who doesn't stand firm in his own value. To be clear, this doesn't mean you should treat her poorly or disregard her worth. But it does mean that you need to remember that she is a human being with flaws, not a goddess. In fact, one of the key Stoic principles, as Marcus Aurelius once said, is to accept the things to which fate binds you. This includes treating others, especially women, with the dignity they deserve, but without elevating them to an unrealistic level. When you place her above you, you deny the balance that is necessary for mutual respect to flourish. In reality, over-complimenting doesn't build attraction. It leads to complacency. When you tell her she's amazing all the time, those words lose their power because she knows you're just repeating what she wants to hear. The truth is, genuine compliments are most impactful when they're rare and earned. Think back to a time when someone gave you a compliment that truly stood out. Why did it resonate with you? Because it was sincere, specific, and came from someone who wasn't constantly looking for your approval. The same applies to women. Compliment her in a way that acknowledges her character, her strength, and her achievements. Don't just praise her beauty, she likely hears that enough already. Instead, recognize her other qualities, the things that make her who she is, beyond the surface. But it's not just about the compliments you give. It's about the way you live your life outside of your interactions with her. A man who constantly places a woman on a pedestal is often doing so because he has nothing else going for him. He's not busy with his own goals, not pursuing his passions, not living with purpose. In the modern world, we see this dynamic all the time. Men get so caught up in trying to win the affection of a woman that they forget to live their own lives. They abandon their hobbies, their ambitions, and their friends, thinking that if they just focus all their energy on her, she will reciprocate in kind. But that's not how attraction works. A woman is drawn to a man who has his own life, someone who is passionate, driven, and not afraid to stand up for himself. A Stoic mindset teaches us that we should not attach our self-worth to external circumstances or the approval of others. If you want a woman to respect you, don't make her the center of your universe. Be the center of your own, and let her join you on your journey. In relationships, it's equally important to set boundaries. If a woman is being disrespectful, or if she's acting entitled, don't tolerate it. Call her out, but do so in a respectful manner. A man who holds his ground and isn't afraid to speak up when something isn't right commands respect. The key here is that a woman will never fall for a man simply because he worships her. She will fall for him because she feels something genuine when she's around him, a sense of strength, purpose, and confidence. And real attraction doesn't live in a fantasy where one person is placed above the other. It exists in a space where two people challenge and support each other, where respect is mutual and where boundaries are respected. In today, we see many men falling into the trap of elevating women to unrealistic levels, with social media making it so easy to portray idealized versions of people. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion of perfection. Men often look at a woman's curated social media profile and believe that they need to treat her like she's something unattainable, something beyond their reach. But real life doesn't work that way. The woman you admire has the same flaws, insecurities, and imperfections as you do. She's not some goddess to be worshipped. She's a human being with her own challenges, goals, and desires. And when you approach her with this understanding, you will find a deeper, more genuine connection. So, what can you take away from this? The next time you find yourself elevating someone on a pedestal, take a step back and ask yourself, am I treating her as an equal? If the answer is no, adjust your approach. Treat her with respect, yes, but also recognize your own worth. Don't lose sight of your goals, your values, and your passions. Live your life with purpose and allow her to join you in it. Don't make her the entire focus of it. Remember, Stoic happiness is rooted in self-sufficiency and inner strength. When you stop putting her on a pedestal, you will find that the attraction you seek doesn't need to be chased. It naturally comes as a result of you living authentically and with confidence. This is the essence of Stoicism today: living with dignity, setting boundaries, and remembering that true attraction is built on mutual respect, not worship. Think. 3. Never let her control the relationship. Have you ever felt like you're constantly bending to the will of the woman you're with just to keep the peace? Maybe you're afraid of upsetting her, so you apologize even when you haven't done anything wrong. You agree with everything she says, even when it doesn't align with your values or beliefs. If you've found yourself in this situation, it's important to realize something crucial. You're giving away your power, and when you do that, you risk losing her respect. A woman, no matter how much she loves you, will test you. But here's the thing. She's not doing it to be cruel or manipulative. She's testing you because she needs to know if you have the strength and confidence to lead, to stand your ground, and to make decisions with conviction. And when you fail those tests, when you let her dictate the direction of the relationship, it isn't just frustrating for you, it's a deep turn-off for her. Women want to feel secure, not only in your love, but in your ability to take charge, to direct the course of the relationship. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If you constantly defer to her, constantly apologize for things you haven't done, you aren't leading, you're merely reacting. And that's not what high-value men do. You see, leadership in a relationship doesn't mean control or domination. It's about direction, strength, and being secure enough in who you are to make decisions and stick by them. A man who knows where he's going, a man who stands firm in his beliefs and values, is a man who inspires trust and respect. Women don't want to lead, they want to trust that you can lead. In fact, it's one of the most magnetic qualities you can have. It doesn't mean you have to have all the answers or be perfect at everything. What it means is that you have a sense of self that guides you, and when it's time to make decisions, you don't hesitate. Whether it's planning a weekend getaway, deciding on finances, or navigating relationship dynamics, the man who confidently takes charge will naturally command her respect. It's not about being the boss or having the final say every time. It's about being the one who is clear-headed and steady when things get uncertain. And this is especially important in today's world, where so many men fear conflict or try to avoid making hard decisions because they don't want to upset their partner. But let's be real. Being passive or overly agreeable is a recipe for disaster. You might think that agreeing with everything she wants will keep things smooth, but what you're really doing is sacrificing your own values and needs. In the end, she'll stop seeing you as her partner, and instead, she'll see you as someone she has to carry, someone who isn't strong enough to take the lead. Why do you think women are drawn to men who have a sense of direction, even if their path is unconventional? It's because confidence, conviction, and leadership are incredibly attractive. Women don't want to feel like they are in a relationship with someone who is constantly asking for approval, who lets them make every decision. They want a man who trusts himself enough to stand firm, even when the situation gets tough. The truth is, when you let her control the relationship, you're not just letting go of your power, you're also robbing the relationship of the mutual respect and balance it needs to thrive. Now, don't confuse this with being domineering. Leadership is not about controlling your partner's every move or forcing your opinions on her. It's about showing up as the man you are, standing firm in your decisions and being confident in your values. It's about offering direction, not domination. And when you do this, you empower both yourself and her. She will trust you more, respect you more, and ultimately she'll value the relationship more because she knows that you are both partners who complement each other, not one person who is carrying the other. In the world we live in today, with so much pressure to be the nice guy or the one who agrees with everything, it's easy to lose track of your own strength. But as a Stoic man, you need to understand that true strength doesn't come from yielding to every whim. When you learn to stand your ground and lead, the obstacles you face in relationships, whether it's disagreements or differing perspectives, will only make your connection stronger. You'll become a high-value man who commands respect, not because you're trying to control everything, but because you're clear about who you are and where you're headed. The next time you're faced with a decision or an uncomfortable situation, ask yourself, am I letting her control this relationship? Am I stepping back because I'm afraid of conflict or of upsetting her? If you're honest with yourself and recognize that you've been yielding too much, It's time to step up, take the lead, and trust yourself. Women are drawn to men who are strong, not because they are perfect, but because they have the courage to be themselves and take responsibility for their lives and relationships. When you embody that confidence, you won't just win respect. You'll create a foundation for a relationship built on trust, direction, and mutual admiration. Thing 4. Never be afraid to walk away. In the realm of relationships, one of the most powerful and often overlooked lessons a man can learn is the ability to walk away when the situation no longer serves him. The idea that a man should be afraid of losing a woman, or that he should tolerate disrespect or settle for less than he deserves just to keep her around, is not only misguided. The paradox here is simple yet profound. The man who is least afraid of losing a woman is the one who keeps her the longest. Why? Because she knows that he is with her by choice, not out of desperation. He isn't clinging to her as if his entire sense of self-worth depends on her presence. Rather, he stays because he values the relationship, but he also values his own integrity and peace of mind. This kind of strength commands respect, and respect is the foundation of all attraction. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely noted, freedom is the only thing you cannot have unless you are willing to give it up. When you are willing to walk away from something or someone that compromises your self-respect, you are exercising your personal freedom. You are not beholden to the whims of another person's behavior, and in doing so, you are reinforcing the very qualities that make you an attractive, self-sufficient individual. Men who fear losing a woman often find themselves bending over backward to avoid conflict, tolerating bad behavior, and abandoning their own standards in an effort to keep the relationship intact. This is a dangerous game. You might think that being overly agreeable or passive will somehow preserve the relationship, but the opposite is true. The more you tolerate disrespect, the more you diminish your own value in her eyes. When you stop setting boundaries or allow her to treat you poorly, you show her that your sense of self-worth is tied to her presence. You teach her that you will endure mistreatment just to keep the relationship going. But what she really wants, what every woman wants, is a man who values himself enough to walk away when necessary. Women want to feel that they have to earn your respect, not that they are entitled to it simply because they are in your life. As Seneca once said, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." It's better to walk away before the suffering becomes unbearable than to endure unnecessary pain out of fear or insecurity. A man who refuses to tolerate poor behavior is not only preserving his dignity, he is also creating a relationship dynamic where mutual respect can flourish. The power of walking away is not about playing games, seeking revenge, or making a point. It's about having the strength to uphold your standards and the wisdom to recognize when a situation is no longer serving your emotional or mental well-being. Walking away isn't about making her chase you or proving your worth. It's a demonstration of self-respect. When a man walks away, he sends a clear message: I have standards, I have boundaries, and if those are not respected, I'm gone. This act of self-respect often triggers a psychological shift in the woman. She realizes that this man is rare. Most men will tolerate bad behavior, settle for less, and compromise their integrity just to keep her around. But a man who can walk away, that's a man who has options. And a man with options is naturally attractive. In modern life, this lesson resonates more than ever. In an age where so many people settle for relationships that drain them emotionally or mentally, The ability to walk away can be the most powerful tool a man has to maintain his self-respect and emotional well-being. You don't have to stay in a situation that leaves you feeling unappreciated, disrespected, or emotionally exhausted. Recognizing your worth and making the decision to walk away when necessary is a sign of strength, not weakness. There are certain situations where walking away is not just a choice, it's the best option. If she disrespects you, whether by mocking your ambitions, dismissing your opinions, or constantly testing your patience, the time to walk away is now. If she is playing mind games, stringing you along with mixed signals, or creating uncertainty in your relationship, it's time to walk. Relationships are meant to be based on mutual respect and understanding, not manipulation or emotional games. When she pulls away, when her interest fades, when she treats you as an option rather than a priority, this is a clear sign that it's time to leave. Never beg for attention or chase someone who isn't reciprocating your interest. If she values you, she will notice your absence. And if she doesn't, then it's better to walk away and preserve your dignity than to stay in a relationship that will only continue to drain you. As the Stoics would advise, focus on what is within your control, your actions, your decisions, and your boundaries. The rest, including the behavior and feelings of others, is beyond your control. When you walk away from a situation that disrespects you, you are simply asserting control over your own life, not surrendering it to the whims of someone else. Knowing how to walk away with strength is an important skill that many men fail to develop. The key is not to announce it dramatically or make a scene. Weak men seek attention and validation in these moments. They want to prove that the woman will regret her actions. Strong men, on the other hand, simply leave. There's no need for a theatrical exit or a final showdown. The moment you realize that a relationship is no longer serving you, the best thing you can do is to walk away, quietly but decisively. Don't try to make her feel guilty for your departure. Instead, make it about your decision to preserve your own peace and self-respect. Walking away isn't a punishment. It's a declaration of your own value. A man who can leave a relationship that isn't serving him demonstrates his ability to make choices that protect his emotional and mental well-being. He is not afraid to let go of what doesn't contribute positively to his life, and this ability to walk away only strengthens his sense of self-worth. When you are willing to walk away, you are not only preserving your dignity, you are also signaling to the woman that you are not afraid to live without her if she cannot meet your standards. This act of strength, rooted in self-respect, creates a dynamic where mutual attraction and respect can thrive. Women do not want a man who is desperate to hold on to them at any cost. They want a man who values himself enough to let go of anything or anyone who does not align with his values. Thing 5. Never be inconsistent with who you are. Women are drawn to this type of certainty, and it's no accident. Think about it. When you encounter someone who's comfortable in their own skin, who doesn't bend to fit others' expectations, it feels different. You can trust them, you can rely on them, and that's incredibly attractive. A man who is consistent with who he is, no matter the situation, is the kind of man who commands respect and admiration. On the other hand, a man who is inconsistent, who says one thing but does another, who shifts his personality to match the crowd, or who adapts himself like a chameleon to fit the situation, will always lose a woman's respect. Deep down, women are looking for something solid, a foundation they can rely on when the world feels uncertain. They need a man who doesn't dissolve under pressure, who doesn't change depending on who he's with. They need a man who remains true to himself no matter what. It's a tough truth, but it's one that most men fail without even realizing it. Men often think they're being adaptable, trying to read the room or adjusting their approach to fit the moment. Maybe they change their humor, opinions, or even their values to avoid conflict and make people like them. But every time you shift to please someone else, you lose a piece of who you truly are. In the long run, this inconsistency creates distance, because it signals to others that you don't fully trust yourself and that you're willing to compromise your authenticity just to fit in. And here's where the danger lies. This behavior is often done unconsciously, so you might not even realize you're doing it until it's too late. What you're really doing is wearing a mask, and masks, no matter how charming, are never attractive for long. Women in particular can sense when someone isn't being genuine, and it's not a matter of logic, it's instinct. You might think you're doing something harmless, but every time you change who you are to please someone else, the woman you're with will feel like she's on shaky ground. It's like building a house on sand. It may seem fine at first, but when the storms of life hit, it's bound to collapse. The truth is, women are biologically wired to seek stability in a partner. It's not just about financial stability or social status. It's about something deeper, emotional and psychological stability. In ancient times, a woman's survival depended on choosing a partner who was reliable, someone who could stand firm in the face of danger and keep their composure in stressful situations. This was not just about physical protection, but about emotional reliability. If a man could not be counted on to stay strong under pressure, if his moods shifted unpredictably or his actions didn't match his words, he would have been seen as unsafe. And whether we like it or not, this same instinct remains with us today. Women are still looking for that solid, reliable partner. Someone who will be the same in private as they are in public. Someone whose words align with their actions, and someone who doesn't crumble when life throws a challenge their way. So, what happens when a man is inconsistent in a relationship? Well, it starts subtly. She may notice your mood swings, the way you change your behavior depending on who's around, or how your actions don't quite match up with your words. She may not consciously realize it at first, but her instincts will start to tell her that you're not the rock she thought you were. And here's the thing, it's not about being a perfect man or having everything figured out. None of us do. What women want is consistency, someone who is true to themselves even when the going gets tough. A man who is authentic in his thoughts, actions, and emotions creates a sense of security that is deeply attractive. The irony is that when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one, including yourself. It's like trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for you, and sooner or later the cracks start to show. When you're around someone who's true to themselves, it feels comfortable. You trust them because you know what to expect. They don't change based on the circumstances. They are who they are, and that consistency creates a solid foundation of trust and respect. The same holds true in romantic relationships. Women are looking for someone they can trust, someone who doesn't change to fit a situation, someone who has the emotional stability to stay grounded no matter what life throws at him. This applies to how you approach relationships. When you remain consistent with who you are, you create an inner peace that radiates outwards, and this steadiness is what others, particularly women, are drawn to. Over time, trying to please everyone around you can drain your energy and erode your sense of self. When you lose your authenticity, it's not just the relationship that suffers, it's your own well-being. Women can sense when a man is genuinely comfortable in his own skin, and that's magnetic. The high-value men don't need to change themselves to gain approval. They stay true to who they are, and in doing so, they naturally attract respect and admiration. This is the Stoic mindset: to know yourself deeply and stay grounded in your principles, no matter what others may think or expect. Never be inconsistent with who you are. The moment you start shifting to please others, you lose the very essence of yourself that makes you attractive. Women are not looking for perfection, they're looking for authenticity, stability, and someone who knows who they are, even in the face of challenges. If you want to build strong, lasting relationships, be the person who remains true to yourself, no matter the situation. The strength and confidence that come with self-acknowledge are incredibly attractive and will set you apart in a world that often values image over authenticity. When you remain true to yourself, you not only gain respect from others, but you also build the kind of relationship that's solid and lasting. One that's grounded in real love, not temporary facades. 6. How inconsistency kills attraction. Inconsistency makes her question who you really are, and once doubt creeps in, attraction starts to fade. This isn't about being adaptable or flexible, it's about losing your authenticity. If you're always shifting, she'll start second-guessing your intentions, wondering which version of you is real. And the more she questions your authenticity, the less she'll be drawn to you. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be a writer, write. If you wish to be a person of high character, be so consistently." This is the same principle that applies to relationships. If you want to attract someone who respects you, you must be consistent in who you are. Otherwise, you risk losing everything. But here's the truth. Inconsistency doesn't just signal that you're a man who can't be trusted. It signals weakness, not adaptability. You see, a high-value man is someone who can navigate different situations, whether it's a casual gathering with friends, a serious meeting, or comforting a loved one, while staying true to himself. He doesn't need to change to fit in. He brings his core self to every scenario. A man who shifts his personality depending on who he's with, though, comes off as someone who is desperate for external approval. This kind of behavior is not strength, it's insecurity. Women instinctively gravitate toward men who know themselves, men who don't rely on others' perceptions to define who they are. If you're the kind of person who molds yourself to the situation or the people around you, you may find that you're attracting less respect and less attraction. Here's where it gets even more critical. Inconsistency makes her feel unsafe. Think about it. Imagine one day you're telling her how much you value deep, meaningful conversations, and the next, you couldn't care less about anything serious. Which version of you should she trust? Should she trust the man who talks about deep connection, or the one who couldn't care less about intimacy? This is where the trust factor comes into play. Trust is the bedrock of any strong relationship, and when you're inconsistent, you make it nearly impossible for her to trust you. Without trust, there can be no true connection. And without connection, attraction fades. When you fail to show consistency in your words, actions, and intentions, she's left with uncertainty, and uncertainty is the fastest way to kill attraction. Women, like men, are looking for something solid, something that doesn't dissolve when life gets tough. If you want to be the kind of man who attracts lasting respect and desire, you need to offer her something real. Consistency in who you are, both in your words and actions, is a reflection of self-respect and strength. The more you remain grounded in your true self, the more she will be able to trust and, yes, desire you. As the Stoics teach us, life is full of challenges, but the man who stays rooted in his values, who knows who he is regardless of the circumstances, is the man who can weather any storm. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, said Epictetus. And this can be applied to relationships as well. True connection doesn't come from constantly trying to be something you're not. It comes from being clear about who you are and sticking to it. If you're honest with yourself, you'll realize that the people who respect and admire you the most are the ones who appreciate the real you, not the version you put on for others. By being true to yourself, you not only build trust, but you also create a solid foundation for any relationship. And that's what high-value men do. They know who they are, they trust themselves, and they remain consistent no matter where they are or who they're with. The key takeaway here is that consistency is the cornerstone of any successful relationship, and it's also the key to building respect and attraction. If you want to attract a woman who respects you and desires you, you need to show her the real you, the version that doesn't change depending on the crowd, the mood, or the situation. By staying true to yourself, you'll create an environment where trust can flourish and attraction will follow naturally. The power of consistency cannot be underestimated, because it's through being steady in your identity that you show you're a man worth following, a man who commands respect. 7. The power of being unshakable. The most magnetic men throughout history have one thing in common: they never bent to fit the world around them. They stayed true to their core values, regardless of the chaos or pressure they faced. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example, a Roman emperor, philosopher, and leader who ruled during one of the most turbulent times in history. Despite the immense pressures of leading an empire, he remained firm in his Stoic principles, never swayed by public opinion or fleeting trends. He wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts," reminding himself and others that our peace and strength come from within, not from external forces. This unwavering consistency in his beliefs is what made him a truly magnetic figure. Or consider Bruce Lee, a master martial artist known not just for his physical prowess, but for his philosophy of self-expression and discipline. Bruce Lee adapted in the face of challenges, but at his core, he never compromised his philosophy. His famous quote, "Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own," captures the essence of his approach. He didn't change who he was to fit others' expectations, but rather he remained authentic to his principles, evolving while staying grounded in his true self. This quality, being unshakable in who you are, is the key to not only attracting respect, but also leaving a lasting impression on others. Now, in modern life, this concept of being unshakable is more crucial than ever. We live in a world where it's easy to get swept up by trends, by other people's opinions, and by the pressures of society to conform. But here's the truth. People, especially women, are drawn to men who stand firm in their authenticity. This doesn't mean being stubborn or aggressive, but rather having the strength to say, "This is who I am, and I will not change to please others." It's the kind of strength that doesn't come from trying to control everything around you, but from knowing that your worth isn't determined by others' perceptions or reactions. When you remain consistent in your beliefs, when you are unwavering in your values, you create a sense of stability and security for those around you. You're not a chameleon, changing with every new environment or situation. You are a man of principle, and that is rare, and it's powerful. In relationships, this strength is even more significant. Women are attracted to men who have a solid sense of self. They want someone who can stand firm under pressure, someone who can be relied upon to act with integrity and consistency. If you're constantly shifting who you are to meet her expectations or avoid conflict, you're not offering her a foundation to trust. The reality is, trust and attraction are built on consistency. When a man stands by his principles and is unshakable in his authenticity, he radiates a kind of quiet strength that is incredibly magnetic. It's not about being perfect or unchangeable, but about being secure in who you are and evolving without betraying your essence. In this sense, Stoic life lessons are deeply relevant. They teach us that we can't control the world around us, but we can control our responses and actions. True strength lies in being unshakable in your authenticity, and that is what leaves a lasting impression, just like the great men of history. When you embody this, you will not only be more attractive, but you will also experience a deeper sense of fulfillment in your relationships, because you'll be with someone who values you for who you truly are, not for who you pretend to be. This, my friend, is the power of being unshakable. 8. How to stop being inconsistent. One of the biggest challenges men face in relationships and in life in general is the temptation to be inconsistent. The truth is, inconsistency doesn't just confuse people around you, it can also destroy the foundation of respect and attraction in a relationship. So how do you stop being inconsistent? The first step is simple but often overlooked. Define your values and stick to them. Think about it. If you don't know what you stand for, you'll easily be swayed by every opinion, every situation, every person who comes your way. You may think you're adapting to the world, but in reality, you're losing yourself in the process. It's essential to take the time to figure out what truly matters to you. And once you do, never abandon those values just because a situation gets uncomfortable. Being consistent doesn't just mean staying true to your beliefs. It means being the same man in every situation. Whether you're with your boss, your closest friend, or a woman you're trying to impress, your core self should always be intact. Of course, your approach may vary depending on the context. You might adjust your tone, your language, or your behavior to suit the situation, but the essence of who you are should never change. Think about a time when you've encountered someone who seems to shift their personality depending on who they're around. How did it make you feel? Did it make you trust them more? Or did it leave you with a sense of doubt, wondering which version of them was real? Women are particularly sensitive to this. If you show up as one person with your friends, another with your colleagues, and yet another when you're with her, it will make her question who you truly are. Consistency is key because it builds trust. When you're consistently yourself, no matter the situation, people around you begin to trust you more deeply. And trust is the foundation of any lasting relationship. A critical part of this consistency is matching your words with your actions. If you say you'll do something, do it. If you claim to have a certain mindset or belief, live by it. This may sound simple, but it's a step many men overlook. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'll change," or "I'll be better," only to see no follow-through? It's a painful cycle of empty promises, and it's not just unattractive, it's a sign of insecurity and lack of self-respect. When your actions and words don't align, it creates dissonance, and dissonance kills attraction. Women, and people in general, are drawn to integrity. If your actions reflect the words you speak, you build credibility and respect. In contrast, when your actions fail to back up your words, you signal to others that your integrity is compromised and that inconsistency is a sign of weakness, not strength. Attraction isn't just about what you do, it's about what you refuse to tolerate. When you say you believe in something, but your actions don't support that belief, you're showing a lack of conviction, and that will make her lose interest. A man who seeks constant validation, who puts a woman on a pedestal, who lets her control the relationship, who fears walking away, or who is inconsistent in his identity, is a man who ultimately loses respect, loses power, and ultimately loses attraction. Women, more than anyone, value consistency. They are looking for someone they can trust, someone who is secure in who they are, someone who doesn't change depending on external circumstances. When you stand firm in your beliefs and values, when you maintain consistency no matter the challenges, you become rare in a world full of men who bend, break, and beg for approval. A man who is unshaken, who knows his worth, and who leads with confidence will naturally earn respect, admiration, and yes, attraction. This doesn't mean being perfect. It means standing firm in your authenticity and principles. Look at the men in your life or in history who are revered not only for their accomplishments, but for their unwavering authenticity. Think of leaders like Marcus Aurelius or modern icons like Bruce Lee. They were unshakable in their principles, and that's why people, both men and women, found them magnetic. These were men who adapted, yes, but who never compromised on their essence. They made their mark because they stood firm in their truth, and they didn't apologize for it. That's the power of consistency. It gives you the strength to lead, to make decisions, and to handle challenges without losing yourself in the process. The choice is yours. You have the power to either create a strong, lasting foundation based on consistency and integrity, or to remain caught in the cycle of inconsistency and self-doubt. If you choose to stand firm in your principles, you'll attract respect, admiration, and real connections. This is the essence of Stoicism today: remaining steadfast, living authentically, and leading by example. When you stop trying to please everyone and focus on being true to yourself, you will not only find greater peace and happiness, but also build relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and trust. This, my friend, is how you stop being inconsistent and become the man who commands the respect and attraction you deserve. Thanks for sticking around and tuning in until the end. I hope the insights we shared today about staying consistent in life and relationships hit home for you. As we've seen, consistency isn't just the key to building respect. It's the foundation for every solid connection. If you want to become a man who truly stands out, stay true to who you are, hold on to your core values, and never back down when challenges arise. If you found this content valuable, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more powerful lessons on life, stoicism, and becoming the best version of yourself in relationships and beyond. Stay strong, stay sharp, and keep growing. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. The types of men who captivate women. In today's video, we explored the types of men who truly captivate women, not just with physical appeal, but with qualities that stand the test of time. From kindness to consistency, humor to confidence, the men who leave lasting impressions are those who remain authentic and grounded in their values. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not, but embracing who you truly are and living with integrity. These principles don't just apply to relationships, they are essential for personal growth and happiness in all areas of life. 1. Not too handsome. Women may be initially attracted to men with typical good looks, such as chiseled features or a muscular build. In the context of long-term relationships, they often prefer men who are more average in appearance. Researchers explained that handsome men may make women feel inadequate, causing them to push themselves to diet or exercise to meet the unrealistic standards. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This mindset can be applied here. When a man's appearance is too perfect, it creates an external pressure that doesn't align with the Stoic approach of finding contentment in one's true self without external validation. For women, long-term attraction is about more than just looks. It's about feeling secure and valued for who you truly are. So, while physical attraction may spark the interest initially, it's the deeper qualities, like stability and emotional compatibility, that make a lasting impression. Women are drawn to those who can provide security and authenticity. 2. Kindness. While it's clear that physical attraction plays a role, especially in casual encounters, kindness remains a key factor in deeper connections. This brings to mind the words of Seneca, who said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Men who lead with kindness, rather than constantly seeking approval, are more likely to build meaningful connections. Women are often searching for a partner who will nurture and support them, not just someone who impresses them with looks or status. The right balance of kindness and strength creates a relationship built on mutual respect and trust. In fact, it's often the selfless gestures, whether big or small, that leave a lasting impact. 3. Older age. The George Clooney effect is something that many women across generations have experienced, the preference for men who are slightly older. Research shows that women are naturally attracted to men who are a few years their senior. This goes back to the days when older men had more resources, relationships, and respect, qualities that provided security and stability. The Stoic concept of wisdom with age is evident here. The older man is often seen as someone who has more life experience, is grounded in his values, and can provide stability. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. A man who has developed wisdom over time and has not let life's hardships shake him exudes strength and reliability, two things women often find irresistible. 4. Sense of humor. According to a study published by Jeffrey Hall, associate professor at the University of Kansas, laughter may be the key to developing a long-lasting relationship. In his research published in the Evolutionary Psychology journal, Hall suggested that humor helps create a bond between people, especially in the early stages of dating. This is something that aligns with Stoic thinking. The ability to maintain a sense of joy and lightness, even in the face of adversity, is a true strength. Humor is mankind's greatest blessing, as Mark Twain once said. A man who can make a woman laugh, who can keep the mood light and enjoyable without relying on arrogance or manipulation, is far more likely to win her heart than someone who takes themselves too seriously. It's in the playful moments and shared laughter where true connection often forms. 5. Bearded men. Women associate facial hair with masculinity and maturity. This is not surprising, as throughout history, facial hair has often been a symbol of power and wisdom. For a Stoic, this connection is easy to see. A man who is mature and grounded in his true self has the confidence to wear his beard as a symbol of his self-assurance. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. This sense of self-mastery, confidence and maturity can be an attractive trait in a man, symbolized perfectly by a well-groomed beard. 6. Risk-takers. Risk-taking has been linked to higher levels of attraction, particularly when it comes to activities like skydiving or skiing. In 2006, Evolutionary Psychology magazine categorized risk-taking into 6 types: recreational, moral, gambling, investment, health, and social. Among these, recreational risks were found to be the most attractive, especially when they involved activities that are exciting and daring. This aligns with the Stoic idea of embracing challenges and overcoming adversity. The Stoics believed in the power of resilience and the ability to face difficult situations with courage. A man who engages in risky yet controlled activities demonstrates his bravery, and that fearlessness often draws others to him. 7. Confidence without arrogance. Confidence is often cited as one of the most attractive traits in men, but there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. In a study conducted by the University of Texas, women overwhelmingly reported that they were drawn to men who were confident without being egotistical. A man who is sure of his worth, yet humble in his approach, creates an aura of respect and attraction. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This reflects the Stoic mindset. True confidence comes from self-awareness and inner strength, not from seeking validation. When a man is self-assured without needing to prove it, he radiates an attractiveness that can't be faked. Now that you've learned about these captivating traits, I encourage you to start applying them in your daily life. Consistency, kindness, self-awareness. These are the foundations of strong, meaningful relationships and a fulfilling life. Remember, as Epictetus wisely put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So ask yourself, what kind of man do you want to be? A man who bends to fit others' expectations, or one who stands firm in his authenticity? Leave a comment below and let me know which principle resonates most with you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Win Stoic for more insights on how to become the best version of yourself. Stay strong, stay true, and I'll see you in the next video.